What's up, everybody? Welcome to American Idol Unaired. I'm your host, Bennett Shear, back with another singer that you didn't see from season 20 of American Idol. Please welcome Myles Maestro.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to meet you. I love your name. We were just talking about it. I was like, is that a stage name? You kind of walked me through. Maybe you can kind of do another little walkthrough of how you came up with Myles Maestro.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all about writing and poetry and, wordplay, and I love alliteration. So I was looking for something that kind of went along with my real name, which is Miles. And so I was looking for something else that started with an M. And then in the United States, like back in the day, if you didn't have a last name, they would they would give you one based on your profession. So I found the word maestro, and it describes art and music perfectly and what I'm trying to accomplish within it. So I rolled with that because it's not only a name, it's also a call to action, a purpose, I think.
I couldn't agree more. We've had a lot of guests with alliteration in their names. I'm thinking of Corey Curtis and Colby Cobb, Malachi Mills from season 19. I mean, it's memorable.
Absolutely. I love all those guys you just named too.
That is a cool name, Myles Maestro. Maestro.
Yes, sir. Maestro.
So, like, take me back to the beginning before we even had the stage name, just like when we got started in music, how old you were, what got you into it. I want to hear about your story, man.
Okay. Well, no one in my family is really musical besides I got three little sisters, and the one right below me is she was like always saying she was going to be a singer when we were younger. And I guess over time she kind of lost it, and I was always like more shy about singing especially. And then I moved to Dallas from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. There was this choir director at the church I was going to at the time, and he was just really adamant about wanting me to join choir and get involved with the whole process of everything. And at first I was like really like combative to that. I did not want to do it. I was like, no, like that's not for me. I always wanted to be an actor, but singing was never, or any type of music was never on my radar for something to do, especially as a career. And so I got into high school. I was doing theater and whatnot, and I just ended up befriending a lot of choir people. I don't exactly remember how it went down, but I'm pretty sure it was like my sophomore year when I got into choir. And so I was doing it at church at that time because I eventually gave in. And then I was also doing it at school, and it became like something I was just doing a lot. And I started doing it more than I would say like acting stuff, but I was also involved in like broadcasting. I did like first ever student produced late night talk show in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, I was the musical director, which is a generous term because I didn't direct much. I was just kind of messing around on the set a lot, but it was a good learning experience. It provided a lot of connections, which the reason I bring that up is because I ended up meeting this guy named Todrick Hall doing that show, and he was a guest, and I interviewed him, and kind of like we're doing right now, except we met at a hotel, the Sheraton in Dallas. We stayed in contact after that, and once I got into college, because by the time I met Todrick, I was probably a senior in high school. I was about to graduate. I was like 19, I think, because I was older for my grade. And then I got out there, or actually, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. I went to college one semester at Texas State, and I was just focused on being an actor. Like, that's all I wanted to do. And so I was like doing self tapes in my dorm while I should be in doing class and going over scripts and things. And my dad was frustrated because my grades were plummeting. And eventually I just was exclaiming to everyone around me that I didn't want to be here. I wanted to be doing more, and college wasn't for me. So I was talking to my not musical, broadcasting teacher about it. And he was the one who put us in contact with Todrick. And I guess he just like reached out to him and told him like what I was going through. And so Todrick like called me and was like, "Hey, I heard like you're going through some problems at college, like uh looking for a job or something to move out to LA to be in acting, and I can get you in contact with some people who can get you signed to like an acting agency." And I was like, "Oh my God, like yes, I want to do that." So long story short, I move out there and I end up living with him and a bunch of other people in Encino, California. And I get signed to an acting agency and I start doing that. Well, Todrick lets me act in his music video called Ordinary Day for his Forbidden visual album that he did. And I ended up hanging out with like meeting more musicians and hanging out with them. And then it was in that process and then going on tour with Todrick that I realized, oh my God, I think I'm being more called to music than I am acting. So I kind of like switched everything and my whole mindset about what I was doing. And I was like, okay, I gotta start writing like every day. So I started writing and journaling and like just trying to, I don't know, keep up with. I was watching YouTube videos on like what J. Cole did when he was trying to become a better writer, like what, Lady Gaga or any of these people, like celebrities who are successful, right? I was like, what are the things, what are the habits they built to get better at what they do? And I just tried to start mimicking that. And then I came back to Texas and I had a out of body experience and basically like saw myself in the third person, like passed out. There was nothing like that I couldn't, just a million thoughts racing my head. I thought I had like wasted my chance at life. Thought I wasted my chance. I thought I'd been so selfish, like so self motivated. I was becoming the very thing that I never wanted to be as a person in pursuit of this dream. The next day, I started making music literally every day after that. Just trying to write songs that kind of, I don't know, score my existential crisis or what's going on in my head because there's like so much more to life, I think, than the surface level that especially mainstream artists, mainstream media, everything like just we all know today. I think there's so much more to it. And I think that I just want my music to kind of like speak on that side of things as opposed to just, what kind of car I'm in or what girl likes me, even though I do. I fall victim to the love stuff, just like anybody else, okay?
It's the human condition.
Yeah, right. There's nothing we can do about it. And, I'm a sucker for romance too. I kind of like exploit everything that goes wrong in my life for good music. So oftentimes that turns into a lot of breakup jams. So I guess like that's kind of the whole summed up story of how I got into music because ever since that one day, it was like honestly one of the most spiritual moments of my whole life. And I just realized that I was called to like do music and speak on a different side of the tracks, I guess, of what or a different realm of thought. There's a lot of artists that have done it and unfortunately have passed, like XXX Tentacion, uh Juice World, Mac Miller, Lil Peep. A lot of these people are speaking on a lot of their mental health issues and things like that. Like some of the deeper things that we go through as human beings that I feel like just gets kind of brushed under the rug oftentimes. And that makes me sad.
Do you feel a responsibility as an artist to make music that reminds people that they are okay, they're not alone, and we need to talk about these things to prevent more tragedies, whether they be from celebrities or just anybody really who lets their mental health get brushed under?
If I'm being honest, just as an individual, I don't think I can speak for what I'm trying to do for other people. Like, there's nothing like in particular I'm trying to accomplish. I just know what I go through. And so I'm trying to be as honest as I can about those experiences when I write these songs and when I create these production experiences and when I produce for another artist or anything, like I'm trying to like put what I've been through into that. And I know if it helps me at the end of the day, then I know how music has helped me from other people. I can only imagine, hopefully what it will do for someone else one day. But there's nothing like in particular I'm trying to accomplish with said audience. I'm just like kind of throwing it out into the abyss and hoping it sticks for somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious how much Todrick's influence had anything to do with American Idol, because obviously he was on the show. I'm wondering how much he talked to you about his experience or how much it influenced you, if he was involved in the process of you getting on the show at all.
Me and Todrick honestly never really talked about his American Idol experience.
Hmm.
That was what I knew Todrick from, was from American Idol. Whenever I interviewed him back in high school, that was the only thing I really knew about him. That and like some Disney dude thing my sister showed me one time. So then once I interviewed him, or before I interviewed him, I did a bunch of research, obviously, about him and found more of his content. And then I saw he's like also a huge star on Broadway and like massive on YouTube and all this stuff. And I was like, oh wow, this dude's really like self-made
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways. Like 100%. Like it's crazy. So I don't think he directly influenced my route to American Idol, because American Idol kind of just stumbled out of nowhere. Like I was auditioning for a whole nother thing and then met someone who was a producer for American Idol. And then they were like, yo, would you want to do this? From a pure work ethic standpoint, he absolutely has influenced me in my mindset and just honestly my expectations of what you can accomplish by yourself and with a small group of other people, like just a group of friends. Like the amount of things he's done with just him and his friends is insane. And so I think that approach to doing it all yourself, that independence, I think he definitely influenced that 100%. And me wanting to keep creative control and seeing how he does that 100% influenced that as well. I never, I don't know, I'm not like a big fanboy type person when it comes to celebrities. If anything, I get like more quiet and like just kind of like observant, like of how they act around other people and want to know like why they are looking the way they look or standing the way they stand, or what things do people say that catches their attention and things like that. I don't know. I don't get big into like, oh my God, so what have you done? I don't go 20 questions with them. Although I feel like sometimes I should. Like I miss opportunities not asking questions. It's always good to ask questions.
Especially with the interviewing background, I'm sure you're used to asking other people questions because you've had that
Exactly.
background. Which, by the way, one talk show host to another. I mean, I am curious about what got you into that and why you enjoy interviewing. I mean, it was a long time ago, but what kind of got you into that?
Man, it's all connected. I was doing a choir concert in my junior year of high school or sophomore year of high school, and I did like a B.O.B. cover of Magic. Like me and the show choir I was in, we did Magic by B.O.B. I think it's on YouTube too. It's a terrible video, but like the recording is just awful. It was so offbeat. We couldn't figure out how to line up the track and our vocals correctly. So we were like, screw it, just throw it in. The video's cool. But we did that, and the broadcasting director, he was brand new. He actually used to oversee all the curriculum for like nationwide for high schools for broadcasting.
Hmm.
The high school I went to, Prosper. He came to me and basically scouted me out and was like, "Hey, like you just did amazing up there. I love the energy you bring to the stage. I would love if you're interested being in front of the camera, if we could bring that energy to the show I'm trying to create." And at the time, it was just a new show, but I was so interested. I'd always wanted to be, like I told you, in front of the camera doing some form of acting. And I was like, oh, this is my ticket. So I started doing that and became an anchor for like our daily announcements, which is structured like a whole news show. Our daily announcements were. And I just had this segment called The Daily Bullet. And it was basically I would I had a teleprompter that was just all like the announcements I was supposed to have for the day. And I was like, how can I catch people's attention? Because there was this other guy, because we had A days and B days in high school. And there was this other guy, he was the weatherman on A day, and I was the B day daily bullet guy. The weatherman, his name was Brady, Brady Powers. And he was so freaking good at doing the weather. I don't understand like how you can be good at doing the weather, especially in high school. But like this man had it figured out. People loved him, and I was like, what does he have that I don't? I need like a catchphrase or something. So I started like coming into my daily bullet segments with dance moves, and I would like say a pun to like try to incorporate it. I'd be like, here to it's Ty Bowman or whatever, which is what I went by in high school. Here to dab up your daily bullet or something like that. Or uh, I don't even remember the other ones I did. I forget all the Nene.
So
I
you must have
don't.
been. This is like what 2015. We got the dab. We got the nay nay.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, the this one I
Watch me
forget what it's
whip.
called. The folks. I was like, "What's up, folks? How y'all doing today?" Uh, I don't know. People hated me for it. I was ridiculed in the hallways. And I was like, damn. Like people were like, you're so corny. We want Brady. Well, anyway, me and Brady eventually teamed up the next year and we did the comedy show. We were me and two other guys as well. And we were the ones who started the comedy show because I was like, people love you. What is it? People don't love me. Wow. It was good motivation at the end of the day.
I want to quickly get back to the thing about Todrick and then talk about Idol because you were mentioning how he really taught you how to figure things out on your own because that's what he had to do. You know, he's so successful and yet he's really done it on his own. Would you agree that it's kind of critical as an artist in an industry where no matter how promising an opportunity might look, whether a label comes to you, says we want to sign you, make you a big star, you never know what could happen. You could get dropped or it could go in a different direction. I feel like it's probably critical that you do learn how to make it on your own with your own team, making your own moves so that whatever happens bigger scale industry wise, you're ready for it. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to have that weight on your shoulder because you've got yourself under control.
Yeah. He's very just organized, structural. Like his friends, like they all are like a team, like a whole networking team. Some of them are sitting on the computers, like going through Excel sheets of potential people they can email. Someone's going through his Instagram, liking and doing hashtags and seeing what's trending and things like that. Just the way he approached everything like it was a business was so inspiring to what I wanted, like, I don't know, like how I wanted to be, which I was not because I'm not an organized person. I'm so messy. Like, I don't, the way I operate as a human being, like, I'm scattered brained, but it somehow it all falls together. Very abstract way of thinking. He's very, like, upfront about it. And it was a whole different side of things for me. And then being out in LA, it was like a whole new world. It's a whole different vibe out there. The weather's awesome, but the traffic's terrible and the people are so different. The whole energy there is a little bit darker, but also like a little more like motivating and inspiring to kind of do something because you feel like everyone else around you is successful. That's another thing about him. He never lets anything like that get to him. We don't keep in contact that much today, but he definitely taught me about who I want to be and who I don't want to be for sure.
Well, very interested in hearing how you got to Idol because I know you said it was kind of one show that brought you to another show. But before we talk about that, really quickly, guys, just want to remind you if you are not already subscribed to American Idol Unaired, whether you are on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube or wherever you may be listening or watching, it's so easy. You don't even have to hit pause. You will see that subscribe button. Just tap it, you're in. All right, now I want to hear about how you were on one show, kind of getting involved with that. Then you got to Idol. What's the story?
It actually wasn't a show. It was like some boy band thing. And someone that had been on American Idol previously and like helps other artists like with that. She also I just had a couple conversations with her about where I want to go with my career. And she reached out to me and was like, "Hey, this guy's looking for like someone with your description for this boy band thing. Would you be interested in auditioning? And at this point, and still like today, all I want to do is get more people to hear my music. So I was like, absolutely, like let's do that. So I went out and auditioned for this boy band over Zoom, kind of like this, and kind of like American Idol. It went well. I don't I don't know anything about it really, or haven't heard anything about it, and that was a long time ago. So I'm sure they're moving on with other stuff. But one of the guys who was in that Zoom audition, his name was Josh Randall. I'm sure you know him.
Yep.
You've interviewed him
Oh
before,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, he's the
Yeah,
man.
I love that dude. That dude's awesome. He's he's quite the character. He's inspiring too.
Hmm.
Uh, but he was like, "Yo, bro, like you're the man. Like you're amazing. Like you know it'd be awesome. Your hip hop style, the way you just do you. It'd be awesome if you just came and brought that to American Idol." That was a terrible impression, honestly. You know exactly how he is. So he got me, and I was like, okay, you know what? Like I watched it as a kid. Like I watched literally the last season I probably watched was the one with Todrick. So I was like, yeah, I mean, why not? It can't hurt. And so I went out. Like you've probably heard from other people too. Like it was a lot of Zoom auditions.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you how many I did. It was a lot though, because I did one. Well, I also had like like pre meetups with Josh to just like he would kind of run through what I was doing or help me out or give me some tips, and then we'd go to like the Zoom audition, right? Change the room or whatever. I did one and it did not go that well. I got nervous. Like when I get nervous, I just zone out. So if I ever like start stuttering or I feel like I don't know like it's because I'm like, uh-oh, like I'm freaking out in my head. Like so that happened like mid audition. Like I came up and I was like holding my guitar. I was like, "What's up, guys? I'm gonna sing." And like everything just went blank. And so I was like pretending, like looking at my computer all weird. I was like, "What's going on?" Like trying to act like it was. I wasn't making any noise though. I was trying to
That's
like.
smooth.
I was like trying. I was like, "What? What are you doing? Come on, Miles, figure it out. What are you doing right now?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah." I ended up singing "Boyfriend" by Justin Bieber. Did like a little alternative, like electric guitar uh remix, I guess, per recommendation of Josh. Shout out to him. And then I did two originals. One was called Summer Alone, and then the other one was called Melody Lane. You can find both on all streaming platforms.
Check it out.
Yeah, right. But I did those because I had just written Summer Alone at the time. And I had also just made this song called High Class, which is also out. And I was like trying to get Josh, like, yo, should I do this one? Like, I should do this, right? Could I play the beat on the Zoom? Would that be dope if I do that? And he's like, no, like, you got the wrong idea. Like, just sing. And I was like, oh, man, okay. So I just sang on the guitar with the other ones. But I wanted to do like a whole like thing. I was thinking about lighting and stuff. But looking back, I probably should have just done that and just it doesn't matter. Anyway, like I said, mine went blank, didn't know what to do, zoned out, started acting like it's all messed up. And then I remembered, so I come back, I sing it. It still didn't go that well. Like I was nervous because I was just distraught, forgetting chords as I was doing it. Then I sang the next one, which went a little better, but it's a high. My song Summer Alone is very like for my range at least, like pretty high. And to sing consistently the whole song. Um, and so doing that pushed me to the limit. And so I was even more nervous. And basically, I bombed it, is what I'm getting at. So I was like, oh crap, like I know I can do better. So I was talking to Josh. I was like, man, like I really feel like that didn't represent like who I am. Like I'm not used to this. I don't usually like just perform on a whim. Like that's not really my approach. And he was like, it's all right. Like we'll figure it out. You need to bring like maybe a different kind of like spice to the table. And I was like thinking, like, all right, you're right. Like what can I do? was like thinking of like how could I approach this like a character, uh, based on like the acting experience, right? And I was like, how could I bring like a little bit of a Miles Maestro flair character to this? And I discussed it with Josh, and he was like, yeah, you should just like kind of just be very sure of yourself, like confident, and like I wore sunglasses the first time I talked to Josh on the thing. He was like, "You should bring those sunglasses back out. Like, you should just wear them the whole thing in the Zoom interview." Uh, he was like, "You got anything like cool to wear?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I got it." I put on this leopard print coat and I was wearing these sunglasses, and I was just sitting like arms crossed. And they were talking, and I was just like, "Yeah, like I'm Miles Maestro, baby. Like, welcome to the show. Like, here we go. Like." You want to hear boyfriends? Like, I see you looking at me. Hey, hold on, you know that part of the show, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then I'd start going like I was just kind of being a dork, or whatever you want to call it, uh, in the whole thing. So it worked out that time because then I was just kind of feeling it. I was having fun with it. So then that translated to while I was performing the songs. Obviously, I'm a little more calm, collected, and then did the rest of my auditions like that, and it was good to go.
So at what point, I guess you get to the executive producer, I'm assuming probably was Megan Michaels Wolflick, who tells you that you're going
Yeah,
to go and see the judges. What was your reaction when she says, you're going to actually go and possibly film this stuff for TV?
I was kind of just like in disbelief for a moment. Uh, I went and told my dad, and he was like, "Dude, are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah, like I'm actually going to like perform for them." I didn't know where at the time. I don't think. Maybe they told me, but I don't think they did. Uh, and they were like, he was like, "Yeah, this is awesome." I told my little sisters, and like all my sisters were very excited except the youngest one. She's just like tough all the time. She's a Marine, so no emotion from her. But she was just like, I think she punched me in the arm, so I took that as like it was a good thing. But yeah, we did. I told them, and I was just in disbelief, and I was excited. I didn't know what to expect in the road ahead. I was hoping to like meet some cool people and, you know, broaden my horizons with collaboration with other artists, whether that's singing or producing for them or even just, going out for a cup of coffee and hitting an open mic together or something, you know what I'm saying? Like it was I didn't know what to expect, so I was just excited, I think, in that moment.
So what city did they send you to?
They sent me to Austin. That's how I know Jordan and Colby and Cameron and Fritz and all them. I remember the first night, dude, it was so funny. Because of the first night, we just had this like Zoom. I don't know if it was like a Zoom group chat or whatever, but everyone in the group chat was like, yo, after the Zoom call, like meet down by the pool. And I was like, oh, here we go. Well, let's go see what the competition's like. And I went down there, bro, and it was like everyone was already friends and singing together, and they were just like, la, la, la. It was like walking into a sitcom, I swear. I was like, this is wild. I went over here, they're like singing and playing by the pool, they're like harmonizing with each other. People are playing the guitar and like sitting, someone's like patting on their lap like a drum. I was like, this is like a weird like music retreat more than this is like filming for a show, is what it feels like. And first thing I remember, I walked up to the pool, and Cameron Whitcomb, is that his
Hmm.
last name?
Yeah.
He walked up, and he was like, "Hey mate, I'm Cam. Nice to meet you." And he just like did a backflip and then just like walked away. And I was like, "What? Like what just happened?" It was so crazy.
What kind of retreat is this?
Yeah, right. I was like, "What did I get myself into?" But everyone, like, I just sat there for a little bit, and I met this guy named Israel McFarlane. He was another guy I talked to, and he was super cool. I was talking to him about like production and engineering because he's like an audio engineer, and I want to be good at that. I'm not quite as good at audio engineering as I could be, but I was just talking to him, like picking his brain about stuff, and I think he's from Nashville, and so I was surprised that he was in Austin and not Nashville. And I guess they just mixed everyone up and around to have like diversity within the cities, I guess. But he uh he was pretty cool, and then I met Jordan shortly after that, and his accompanist Lake, which he was dope too. And then a bunch of other people after that. After the first night, well, like I was in the first day, like in the first like little meeting room, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name of the showrunner, but I think her name might have been Amy. Actually, she was very
Oh, the
intense.
contestant manager,
Yeah,
the
maybe
one
that's
that's
what she
like
was.
yelling at you guys, telling you, like, giving you your marching orders.
Yeah, maybe that's what she was,
Yeah, yeah.
not the showrunner. Yeah, she was like yelling at us, right? So she was funny. She was like, "Y'all go in this room." Well, we walk into this room and we're sitting. She's like, "Y'all kind of be quiet." So we're sitting like being quiet, and then I don't remember who started it, but someone started playing like Tennessee Whiskey on the guitar, and sure enough, like everyone's harmonizing again, and now we're all like erupting in this loud, like angelic choir of Tennessee Whiskey,
Oh
and
my gosh.
then she comes running in like, shut it down, we are filming. We were all like, oh, can't stop us. We just want to sing, just want to let our passions into the world. Uh, anyway, and then so we were in the waiting room, I guess, all being quiet and like huddled up. And I was just kind of walking around like trying to meet people. And I hadn't met anyone else. We were in Austin and I hadn't met anyone else from Texas yet. So I was really confused, like, what's going on? There's nobody here from Texas. And then sure enough, like as soon as I was thinking that in my head, I walk up to this girl. I'm like, hi, like where are you from? And she's like, oh hi, I'm Taylor. Her name's Taylor Davidson. She's like, I'm Taylor. I'm from Dallas. I live in like a north small city in Dallas called Prosper. You've probably never heard of it. And I was like, oh my God. I graduated from Prosper in 2017. Like that's where I went to high school. I got a little sister in Prosper right now. And she was like, oh my God, I'm in Prosper right now. About to graduate. I'm a senior. And I was like, oh, my sister's a senior. She was like, "Oh my God, who's your sister?" And I was like, "Her name's Tate Bowman, the Marine one I was telling you about." And she was like, "No way." And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "That's my lab partner in forensics."
Oh my God.
And I was like, "Wow, what a small world." And she was there with her mom, so I just started chatting it up with them. And me and Taylor kept in contact. I still talk to her sometimes. We have a song coming out. I just got to get it mixed. It's pretty much done. But it's called Gasoline. We wrote it together after the show like was done. She came over a few times and we wrote the song. It's gonna be it's a heartbreaker for sure. She has such a beautiful voice. She has one of my favorite voices. Reminds me of Lana Del Rey, but like with a little bit of Melanie Martinez sparkle. I don't know. But she's super good. If you haven't talked to her, you should talk to her for sure. Uh, she's pretty cool. She's in Nashville now, I think.
Yeah, I saw. I follow her. She's at Belmont, which is where I went before I dropped out of college.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Belmont. I had some friends at Belmont. I had what did you go to Belmont for?
film school, and then I decided to change my major to media studies. And then before I even started my major, I'm like, I don't want to be here. I'm leaving. It's not a diss to
I
Belmont,
know the
honestly,
feeling.
but
I
it's
know.
yeah. We could probably talk for hours about that feeling.
Yeah. No, it's a heavy one.
hmm it was like, yeah, heavy, kind of depressing at times. It's relief when you make the decision, but it's like it's a dark feeling when you're still there. I don't know.
Yeah, I get in my head about it sometimes, but then I saw this meme and I saved it on my phone because it was like so strange, but also so inspiring. And it was like we literally live on a globe floating in nothing, like in nothingness, like in space, like traveling at a very high rate. All right. Like everything's crazy.
Yeah.
So do what's crazy. Go out and
Hmm.
make it, like, at least try, you know? A lot of people don't try hard enough.
Or they do it safe, or what they think they should
Yeah.
do.
Take risks. That I think that's the thing I've learned the most, like just from everything I've done thus far. It's like if you don't take risks, you will not like proceed. Like you will not continue to progress in a uh, constructive way. Like you're going to make the same mistakes, and you don't want to do that because then you're defining insanity.
I couldn't agree more. I hadn't thought of it in that specific way, but it also sums up exactly how I feel. And that meme you just said, it's like the crazy decision to leave that school that's so tiny in the scheme of the world. We're each one person and we have one life, so why not live it to the fullest potential that we see fit, not what anybody else sees fit or how we think it sees fit.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on that one because too many people are trying to be like other people. I'm like, there's already other people. Just be who you are.
Yeah.
You've heard that same spiel from every other artist, every other interview ever. So,
Well, actually, I don't know. I find it inspiring because I feel like it's one of those things where it's cliche, but you need the reminder. Because I find that sometimes, like, mainly the decision to leave college is like, I have those moments of like, fuck, like, being different is hard sometimes, but I also like it. I like when people doubt me. I like when people think I'm not going to make it because it kind of pushes me more.
absolutely, stick it to the haters.
Hmm.
Haters are my motivators.
Hell yeah.
Memes and bookmarks, man, they're a form of art too.
Bookmarks?
Yeah, I read that last one, haters are my motivators, on a bookmark. I
Why the
think
bookmark?
I don't know. Like, you know those old book fairs in public school? You ever
Dude,
have
I
them?
miss the book fairs. I mean, now everything's you read it on your freaking iPad, and they don't even really do book fairs. But I remember getting so excited to get my Scholastic book that cost way too much, but somehow brought me so much joy as a third grader. And I'd read
Right.
the same color picture book like 10 times.
The smelly pencils.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And the whole library that's normally boring is suddenly looks like this like carnival of books for a week.
Yeah, it's like a
And then it
whole new world.
and then it goes away and you're just depressed because you're like now it's back to reality.
Back to reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Which is not the worst book.
I liked that book.
How many of you read? Because I don't even know how many they have now.
I only read the first one.
You didn't read like two, three, four at least?
No, but I watched the movie for those.
Yeah.
Or whichever one there's movies for. Roderick Rules.
Or Dog Days.
Yeah.
That's where I had my first date, and I remember how disastrous it was.
Your first date was to a
Yeah.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid
I was
movie.
in sixth grade.
Dude, that's
she,
awesome.
she was just trying to like be silly. She was like throwing popcorn everywhere and like misbehaving, and I was like, she wasn't even being romantic. She was just like acting like a clown. It was
That sucks.
I know. And I still have the photo booth pictures we took. And I'm like, I look at those photos and I'm thankful. I'm like reminded of how much I've grown up since then. But like, we still laugh
Right.
about we haven't talked to her in a year, but like we'll still laugh about it every time we meet up because we're like, remember where that
Oh,
all
y'all are cool
started?
now?
Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
I went with her to see my very first stand up comedy show. We were just walking on the street, and like I wasn't as spontaneous as I should have been. Some dude was like, "Hey, you want to come to this comedy show for free at this bar in a basement?" And without even asking me, she's like, "Yeah." So I was like, "Oh, okay." And then we go in, and then like the comedians assume that we're all couples, so they start pointing to us in the audience and start asking these like explicit questions that we don't know how to answer because we haven't had that experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that is awkward. That's the moments where you're like palms all sweaty.
Plead the fifth.
Yeah, right? Like, don't ask me that question.
Yeah.
Please ask somebody else.
Right. So Idol, we left off at meeting Taylor and your song Gasoline that's coming out. How did you like or like how did you feel about all the interviews and like the filming of the B-roll and stuff not relating to filming in front of the judges?
I don't think I would have minded it, honestly, as much. But I chose to wear that same leopard print coat in very hot Austin weather, also wearing a thermal under that, just because that was the only all black shirt I had. And that was the wrong decision, my friend. I was sweating so much and I was so dehydrated. I was downing water like nobody's business. So, besides like the physical uh barriers or obstacles that I was facing then, it was pretty fun. Like I enjoy that type of stuff. Uh I I I remember like going off a couple times, like walking up a cliff, and they're like, "Hey, can you like walk up that cliff again, but kind of take longer strides and then just like look off in the distance, like you just noticed something amazing?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I got real into it. I was like walking like super like slow motion. And I was like, like,
Acting experience coming in handy.
yeah, right. I was loving it. I love that type of stuff. So that part was pretty fun. And then the fact that when they do the filming, most of the time they have you in like groups of like two or three.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're getting your solo stuff done, and then they're doing this person in a similar spot right over near where you are, and then another person like in that same thing. So the fact that you get like more one-on-one time with people you haven't necessarily been talking to because it's random, that's cool because it definitely exposes you to meeting more people. But I guess that wasn't their goal at the time. They had us masked up the whole time.
Do you remember at what point you actually got to go and do your audition, like which day?
I was the second to last person, I think, of the second day. Maybe there was two people after me, but I was like one of the very last people because I was in the waiting room. I was supposed to go like midday, and they kind of like didn't really waste your time usually. Like if you were in one station, you were getting filmed. If you're in this station, you're on like a little break, getting some water, getting like an apple or whatever. Uh, if you're in this break or in this station, you're getting an interview filmed about your life. Just different activities, basically. And they only sent you up to like the waiting room when you were about to go on. Well, I don't know what happened when I was in there. But I went up and I was about to go because I was supposed to be like 10th or something in the day, or I don't know. That number is made up. I don't know what the numbers were for the order or whatever, but I was supposed to be earlier than I was because I went in the waiting room and then I was in there for like 2 hours. Like, just kind of, they were like, "Oh, Myles, just wait 1 second. This person's actually going to go. So, like, just hang tight." And then that happened like a lot of times. So then I was like, "Uh oh, like, what's going on?" Nerves started kicking in a little more, like just because everything isn't going to necessarily how they told you it was, which I mean, with show business, it's always up in the air. So never get attached to what they say. But, at the same time, it was like you build this idea of how it's gonna go down in your head. So when it gets off that track, you're kind of like, oh, like get a little more nervous, shaky
Yeah.
hands.
Mm-hmm.
I was going over my song so many times, like trying to remember, make sure I don't like freeze up like I did that one time.
Because you can't readjust anything. There's no like safety
No,
box, whatever.
mm-mm. No, I can't be like, hold on.
Yeah.
They're like, this guy's on drugs. Get him out of here. Like,
Not fit
no,
for the
no,
family
hold on.
audience of ABC.
Yeah, right. They're like, sorry, it was a glitch.
Oh my gosh. So, so when you walk in there, what is it like with the judges? What's the vibe?
I walked in with my sunglasses on and my leopard print coat. I walked in with the same walk I was doing up the mountain and had my guitar like slung around my back. And I like walked over to the side I like did this at the judges, and I like walked over to like this part where I was supposed to stand. I just stood there for a second. I was just hands on my hips, like looking at him, like doing this number. It was kind of blurry after that. Honestly, anything I say after that, after this, may is paraphrased, but basically, I go in and they're like, Lionel Richie's like, "Whoa, look at you," or like something along those lines, and Luke Bryan's like, "Nice, what's up, Myles? Myles Maestro. That's a good name, good memorable name. I like that name, Myles Maestro." And I was like, "Yeah, thank you." I like told him where I was from, and then what I was gonna sing, which I ended up. I thought I was gonna, because a lot of people they told us to prepare like 3 songs,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone who had gone before me got to do like 2 or 3. I thought maybe I'm tripping on that, but the people I at least talked to were like, "Yeah, I did a couple," like, and they just let me like do another one because I was a little nervous in the first one, and I was like, "Okay, so if this goes terribly, I may have a chance to do it again." Well, it didn't go terribly, at least in my mind. I think it went pretty well. I sang Hawaii Mustang by Connor Kelly, which is a song I heard on, like, one of my friends showed me one day. And I was like, oh my God, I love this little like alternative hip hop feel. This has got to it. It's got a cool flow. I remember Josh like really saying something about like my ability to like rap and stuff. He was like, definitely like highlight that when you go in there. Like if you can like find a way to showcase that. And so that's what I did with that. And I think they liked it, but I don't think who I was when I walked in, like what I was doing, like the song I sang, I don't think at the time especially, I'm not sure they thought I was what's fit for the show.
Mm-hmm.
Because looking, I mean, did you watch the season?
I watch every episode of every
Yeah.
season.
Oh, that's dope. So Taylor Hicks, you like Taylor Hicks?
Season 5. You know what's funny about Taylor Hicks though? When I interviewed Josh Randall, he's like, "Yo, Bennett, we should do some American Idol trivia." So he's like, "Taylor Hicks, how old was he?" And I'm like, 23. He's like, "No, dude, he's 28." Like, apparently because he has like, he's like gray hair, so he's always looked older. He's like, "Come on, man." And I was like, "You got me." It was 15 years ago. That's the one thing I got wrong. But
That's funny.
yeah.
Yeah, I said something. Josh asked me about Taylor Hicks. No, he didn't ask me. I said that wrong. He asked me about like what I knew about American Idol when I first met him.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, I know like Todrick Hall and Taylor Hicks. And he was like, what? Out of all people that have been on American Idol, you know Taylor Hicks? I was like, yeah, that was my dog. He was like, but like Carrie Underwood, Kelly Clarkson. I'm like, oh yeah, duh. Like
Yeah.
I forget, like they're so big now, you forget that that's where they started.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh yeah, duh. Like, okay, yeah. So I guess I know them. But like
Yeah.
Taylor Hicks, like when I think American Idol, for some reason, that's the man. That's funny that he quizzed you on that.
And then he offered me tickets to come see the show next season. And then that's when I was like, what? Like,
Oh,
you didn't?
word,
Yeah.
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. Really cool guy. Okay, so you sang the Hawaii song and like that you didn't know if it was like fitting for the show, but then they were kind of giving you like feedback about it.
Yeah. So Katy Perry was the first one to say that she thought I wouldn't be able to keep up with the other singers and that I've heard them singing out there, so I would know that, and that my song choice wasn't necessarily a good pick for like what they were looking for and along those lines. And she's not really sure like what, I guess, picture I was trying to paint as a person being there in the first place. Is basically what she said. I took it, not gonna lie. What she said to me like was a wake up slap to the face, like, but in the best way.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, damn, like Katy Perry really just flamed me up like that, like in my head. But I'm sitting there like, smile
Yeah.
through the pain. But yeah, she said that, and I was like, wow, like I did not expect that. I think a piece of me was I think like everyone else going in there because there are amazing singers, even ones that don't get through to Hollywood or even get shown on the show that do. There are some amazing singers out there. And I think just like anyone else who especially has like a history in music, you go in there with expectation, like especially if you're used to it. Like, oh, I'm gonna rock this. Like it's a walk in the park. It's a slice of cake right here. And when that doesn't pan out that way, you're like, oh wow, like this is this is not what I saw coming. But then after that, Lionel Richie spoke, and he was like, "Man, hold on, like before you take that to heart, listen to what I have to say." He's like, "I think that what you just did walking in here, like what everything you got going on, the way you introduced yourself, the way you sang the song, the way the song was." And then he asked me about my music, and because I had told him that I like make music and produce and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure. And he was like, and the fact that you do that and all this stuff, and also on another side note, before I get to what he said, I cracked a bunch of jokes, which I don't remember what they were, to be honest, because like I said, everything was like you're so nervous in there, it all gets jumbled up. Uh, every joke I cracked, I know for a fact, crash and burned horrendously. Like they just like they were blank face, like didn't know I was making a joke, and I was like, oh god, like this is worse. Do I explain it? No, I don't explain it. I just take the shot. Like, ouch. Like, it was pretty funny in my mind. Looking back on it at the time, I was like, oh, this sucks. Anyway, Lionel Richie was like, man, what you got is good. And I think we're going to meet again because you're very unique, you're very original. The way you're doing whatever it is you're doing, like is keep doing it and keep working at it, fine tune what you're doing, and we're gonna meet again, but not on this show, I don't think. And I was like, oh, okay. And then, man, I couldn't tell you what Luke Bryan said. It was something about how he agrees with them, but my name was still cool, so don't change my name. Because he was like, Myles Maestro. And so I was like, wow. So I got like three constructive no's, I would say.
Hmm.
And it was like, I was expecting to get like at least one yes, because I was like, I'm bringing a different side of something to the table. There's no one like the music I make is relatively dark, I would say. And that's only because I think of some of the things that I've been through and then some of the subject matter that I like to tap on when it comes to what my songs are about. I think it just has a darker vibe. I don't I don't know if that had anything to do with it specifically, but I don't know if I've seen like me besides someone can be darker but have like a pop flair like what's that guy's name? Adam Lambert.
Mm.
He kind of had like a dark tone to his art, but it was also like super eccentric and like Elvis esque, I would say. Is I kind of put them in my mind. Like like Queen. Isn't he like the Queen
Yeah, it's funny. I was
right
just
now?
literally 5 minutes before we started recording this interview, I listened to an Adam Lambert song, and it was like one of his first songs that he released since Idol because I'm a big fan of his. Yeah, no, he fronts the Queen band now, which is amazing that that show did that for him.
Right? So like that's just me being in a comparative mindset for the sake of it. Like I don't necessarily try to like sit up and tear up artists or try to place myself among the names of the greats. I'm just a guy trying to
Yeah.
make music and get more people to hear it, trying to
Hmm.
share my experiences and the obstacles that I've faced in life and how I've overcome them. And, when you hear it in a song, it's a little bit different than like a lecture of someone telling you how to do something. Or if you hear of someone who like really messed up in their life and then make a song about it and it's really vulnerable and honest, like that goes a long way for a listener who's in a vulnerable spot, you know? I don't know how I got lost on that rabbit trail. Basically, I went out after the judges gave me those no's and talked. And like at that point, like I was even more zoned out because I was just like honestly in somewhat of a denial. Like it was a huge wake up call for me. Like everything changed for me in that moment because I was like, damn, I'm really honestly may not be as dope as I thought I was. And I need to figure that out. And am I that way or is that just by the show standards? And I need to find the balance of that and what I agree with that they said and what I don't. So I really sat and pondered with it and really debated, not debated, but like really tried to sit on how I was going to go from there. Because that was a shot to the ego, obviously. Not just the ego. Like it was like, damn, like did I waste all my time coming out here? I don't want to like, and especially like when all the other contestants see you and they're like, oh my God, like how'd it go? Like, was it amazing? Did they love you? And you're like, nah, like it's just so weird because on the show, like you see some people who get said no, but it's mostly yeses, right? At the end of the day, that they're broadcasting, because it's the yeses that win the show. So it's just like it's a different side of it. It's a it's a lot of pressure, and when it gets relieved like that, it is a relieving feeling because you're like, well, at least it's like, at least it's done. There's nothing to be nervous about anymore. But man, like, what could I have done better? Like, what were they looking for? So I get all like the after interviews, and I remember like just like I said, I was zoned out. I did not line up with what people were asking me to do. I was just kind of like in my head walking out, like trying to get out and get done and go sit down and like just call my dad and tell him what's going on. And so they were having me like do like the out like, yo, like see you later, Miles Maestro, or see you next time or whatever, and then like walk away from the camera. So I was doing like that stuff and I think I did it wrong. That's part of the reason in my mind that they may not have aired me. I think I did the little walk away thing wrong. It's just me probably thinking that. But yeah, man, it was ever since that day, I kind of like started working even more overtime on just writing, especially, and I don't know, especially like TikTok stuff. I would say I'm still not the best at it. It's a work in progress. I'm going to be working much harder at it over the course of the next year. But dude, like the amount of people in there that are balling on social media and have a huge platform, and even some of those people got like no's and stuff like that. So like it was really surprising to see kind of like who made it and who didn't. The only one that didn't surprise me at all was Fritz. I knew when we met that dude.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that dude, that's like Ed Sheeran. Man, he's gold. He's good. Like touchdown. But I don't know. It made me really focus on myself as a person. I think after that, and like, oh, I may not be the performer I thought I was, but who am I? What am I really talking about at the end of the day? What am I making music about? What am I? Who am I being for other people, or even my family? Again, like similar to the out of body experience I had before. It was like a kind of a, you need reminders, like you said. I think life gives you reminders sometimes too. And I think I needed this one big time because I realized at the end of the day, American Idol does so much for people. It may not have been me last season, but man, did it like give me experience and knowledge that is going to forever be imprinted on the way I operate now. Like I'm going to uh be so much more true to myself than I ever was. Like I told you in the beginning, like I was trying to approach it like a character. I was trying to think of how I could be more entertaining. I was thinking of nothing of just who I was and what my story was and who I am coming to the table. And I think that's part of the reason that uh, there wasn't really a story to be told for me in that season because I didn't know what story I was trying to tell, I don't think, at the time. So it was a great learning experience. And I hold nothing but goodwill to American Idol for sure. Like although I still want my pictures. I don't know how I go about that. I need to talk to somebody about that.
Do you ever wish you could watch the footage back to like
Yeah.
help you reflect
Yeah.
and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you've talked to tons of people who got Unaired. I mean, I'm sure they say the same thing.
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting to know. I'm also interested to know like what happened versus what was portrayed that happened. 'Cause you know how reality television is. That's showbiz.
Were you heavy into the promotion once you stopped filming and like the new season was approaching, or did you stay away from that?
Man, I definitely didn't utilize it as much as I probably could have. Knowing that I got the three no's
Right.
and all that stuff, it was not something I was like, damn, even if they air me, it's cool. Like, oh my God, like if they aired, like it would have been a game changer for like potential listeners and stuff like that. But on the flip side of that, there's always that other side of your brain that's like, I don't know if I want to go through and like promote this and then I look like a idiot or something. I just don't I just was kind of worried about that, I think. So I think I made a couple posts about it and then I also work as a bartender part-time. When I'm not making music, I'm bartending and all my regulars and stuff that come in there. And then I do shows a lot in this area, like the Dallas area. I got one coming up in November, doing all that stuff and all the people I've met from there, like word of mouth and texts and things like that. I think a lot of people knew about it, but I kind of also like informed people, especially the people close to me, like, yo, even if they do air it, like things aren't looking good for me. So
Mm-hmm.
bring me back if I remember they said something about one dude who got aired and he didn't get any yeses, but then they brought him back at the end because apparently it's like a sensation. I don't know who it was, but I was like, shout out to that dude. He beat the odds.
Hmm. Told him a no, and then we're just like, "Hey, we want you back on."
Yeah, he like came back for like a finale segment or something.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
yeah, he wasn't like a contestant again,
Okay.
but they brought him back as like a guest or something.
Mm-hmm.
Became like an internet sensation. I can't remember the name for the
Hmm.
life of me right now.
It's been a minute, it's been almost a year since you filmed that. I feel like there's probably so much that's happened since then and how you were feeling back then, the fact that you felt you were kind of portraying this character, and then everything that you've gained now as far as insight goes, and probably how you've grown as an artist. I'm sure it's a world of difference, I would imagine, as far as who you are now versus back then.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was like somewhat lost and grasping at straws at what I thought was cool and what was, a good story to tell. And I just lost traction with who I really was and what my story really is. I don't know. I think it ended up for the best because yeah, like you said, today, I mean, I'm doing weekly songs on SoundCloud now to just stay sharp. I do like all the engineering and production myself. Uh, also drop some the good ones of those on YouTube. Working with other producers on like more polished songs that'll drop on all platforms. Simultaneously working on videos, working a job, paying rent, living with my sister. So there's a lot more independence that has just been forming over the years, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that was just another like I don't know push in the right direction to um, make a name for myself and not needing to answer to anyone else. Like, yeah, the experience at American Idol was amazing, uh, but also not going through still gives me the freedom of making a name for myself without American Idol. You know what I mean? Uh, gives me an opportunity to kind of pave a way in a different route that maybe someone's never done before, or it just happened through hard work and a lot of years of doing the same thing.
I mean, I think you kind of got the best of both worlds because you still got the experience and you still gained a lot of stuff from doing that show and people you met and things that you learned. And I think that most of all for you, it just seemed like a massive period of growth that,
Absolutely.
like I said, looking back, I mean, I'm sure that in the moment you just want to get out of there, but right now you're probably appreciative that you had that time because everything happens for a reason. And even
100%.
though it wasn't the right time for you to be on that show, Josh still came into your life to give you this opportunity to grow as an artist. And then here we are today, and you can say that, like, you're killing it doing things. And, in a way, it's weird. Like, isn't that a weird feeling to get told no, but then to have that satisfaction of being like, I'm doing something on my own?
Man, when I was a kid, every time I got in trouble, instead of like grounding me or like spanking me or whatever, when by the time I was like, I don't know, 8 or 9, my dad would make me read this book called Failing Forward and give him a book report on it every time I got in trouble.
Huh.
And it's this book by John C. Maxwell. It's basically a self-help book that just talks about and gives you these all these examples of all these different influential people throughout history who had to fail miraculously to succeed insanely. And I think that shaped me a lot as a kid, and that shaped me even more to this day. And it was just another reminder with American Idol that hey, you're gonna fall, but that's gonna make it when you get up even more glorious and feel that much better. Uh, that you've not only been given the opportunity to be where you are now, but move forward even more.
Is there like either one word to sum up the experience or even one lesson that kind of arches over everything when you think about American Idol?
You know, it's funny that you ask what I learned from American Idol. And I think it's what I've been forced to continue learning since I've started music was that no one is going to hand this to you.
Mm.
No one is going to give it to you because you are a certain status. All the people who are Instagram or TikTok famous or whatever, and they didn't go through, no one's going to give it to you because of a certain look. It has nothing to do with anything except what you're going to do with it. I think that through all this time, like through all my times in LA, like I've just been reminded over and over again that there's going to be nothing that makes it easier to be, I don't know, different because everyone, especially within the industry, is doing relatively the same thing, singing, dancing, whatever. You got to find a way to set yourself apart with that, along with as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And because everyone wants that for themselves, no one's going to just be like, oh, here, how about you have it? Like,
Yeah.
how about I give all my time and energy to you? And like, for some reason, when you're a kid, like you think that's the way it's going to go. When you first start music or you first get into it or you're first an actor or whatever you want to be in your career, when you first start, there's a piece of you that's like, oh, this is going to be a walk in the park. Like, I got this. I'm a natural talent. I've been doing this since I was a kid. I've been doing this. Like, I'm gifted and whatever. Like, no matter what you think or who you are, you still got to put the work in. You still got to put the time in. You still, like, no matter what, it's not going to work out. Even the people who are most successful, like I said, had to go through something like a terrible failure in order to get where they are now. The no's are really yeses, just long term. That's the good sentence. That's the one you should quote.
Yeah, no, for sure. Say it one more time so people can really like say it loud for the people in the back.
The no's were really yeses for the long term.
Mm.
The three
That
no's.
that's so important for me to remember right now. I'm telling you, you have no idea the stuff I'm trying to do in the industry. It's like I feel like I've had to learn a lot of those lessons you just said, and I won't make it about me. But all I'll say is that if anybody else listening or watching has a dream, this was very important to them because if you're ever feeling discouraged, like I know I've felt, it's those words of encouragement that should keep you going because
Absolutely.
you are gifted. It's just you have to put the work in. It
Yeah.
doesn't take away from your talent. You just, pay your dues.
I mean, it's a game. It's a cycle. You just gotta wait for your turn and prepare.
Because when it is your turn, you got to be ready.
Yeah, and if you're not, it's gonna pass you right by and spit you out, and you're gonna have to wait for the next cycle. And you better hope you're prepared the next time,
Yeah.
if there is one. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm really excited because we're going to do something we've never done before on the podcast. You're going to premiere one of your new music videos. Now, we've had live performances, we've played songs, but this is a first. So
Yes.
tell me about this song, this video, what we can expect to see.
Man, what's funny is you asked me about the lesson that I learned at American Idol, and I told you it's a lesson I've been continuing to learn. Well, this song is about that lesson. The main lyric is, I just had to try to find my way because I swear I found my own line to say. I'm not operating by a script anymore. I'm not doing what I'm being told to do. I'm not trying to be a character. I finally found who it is I want to be. And I actually wrote this song right after the American Idol experience. Uh, and this plays into a lot of the times not specific. I briefly touch on like location and it talks about my times with uh, in LA too, learning about the different people out there and learning to navigate. Uh, the scene out there was interesting, and the victim mindset is a very common theme nowadays. Um, Everyone feels that they need to be justified when they're wrong. Everyone feels like the person who wronged them needs to be wronged back, or they feel like whatever, like just the world is against them or the world is unfair. And the older I get and the more I learn is that I realize the world takes advantage of everyone and it sucks for everyone time and time again. And I mean, not consistently, but everyone has their times where it's rough, right?
Yeah.
And there's no reason to sit back and whine and beg for it to be different when you can work with work with what you got, properly assess what's going on, and learn how to operate around it. You know what I'm saying? Like, use it to your advantage. And I think that's something that I want to do more. I want to be better at as well. So this song's also just like a reminder to myself. And the opening of it is a little bit of a calling that I feel to a higher purpose uh, to get this message out there. So that's what this song is. My own line.
Wow. I cannot wait to see this. So, guys, really quickly, if you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you may be listening, I would switch over to YouTube so that you can fully experience this music video. Should be the exact same timestamp as where you're listening right now. So, head over to YouTube, just type in American Idol Unaired Myles Maestro, or you can click the link in our bio. You will find the interview and you can see the music video.
Hear you call me by name. I can't make what you say. I think you want me to change. I'm too lost in my way. Wish you left me to sleep. Now I wander away. I miss the bliss of my dream. Without the sound of my chains. From the wall I was playing apart. Red eyes in the dawn of a late march. Thought I'd never look back, but you better believe. And I was under attack, and they were watching me bleed. I got away from the scene. It wasn't part of the dream. I think I had to try just to find my way. I get high, hoping I'll ignite my pain. I get by, I've got my mind on hate. I don't really got the time to waste. So blind, I kinda find that straight. Sunshine, you were right to find that ray. In no time, they will recognize my face. So I found my own line to say. Same songs as dry was kinda stressing me out. Questioning why the whole time I lie, I'm second guessing myself. Thought I'd never look back, but you better believe that there was never a map, fucking path to the dream. You just adapt to the scene, and it's just not what it seems. But I think I had to try just to find my way. I get high, hoping I'll ignite my pain. I get by, I've got my mind on hate. I don't really got the time to waste. So blind, I kinda find that straight. Sunshine, you were right to find that ray. In no time, they will recognize my face. So I found my own line to say. So I found my own line to say. So I found my own line to say.
That is so cool. That was so neat to get like a visual experience, especially after knowing you, getting to know you. I mean, you literally said right before then that it was written after your Idol experience and that there were elements of that, but also just kind of hearing about your life and maybe what you've been through. And then the fact that that song, I feel like perfectly captures it, to have the visuals go along with that and to have such neat visuals, such unique visuals. It was not anything like I was expecting, to be fully honest, in a great way. I was not
Let's
expecting
go.
that, to see so
Thank
much
you.
cool stuff. It was like your world. That was the world of Miles Maestro.
Yes, sir. That is what I'm trying. That's the picture I'm trying to paint. Uh, I'm glad he liked it, man. Thank you. That's definitely my favorite song of the ones that are out. That's definitely my favorite one.
Gosh, I'm so curious what goes into your mind when you come up with a concept, because there was so much to experience in those 3.5 minutes. I mean, like, is it like a vision board? Do you storyboard? Like, how does it work in your mind when you decide, I want to make a music video? Did you have a team? Is it mostly you coming up with the concepts and the visuals?
It's like me, the videographer, and like two of my friends is all it is. Uh, like I said, I learned from Todrick, one of the best at working with what you got. I was like, this dude knows how to do crazy edits. I want this video to be super psychedelic anyway. I really want to uh bring a different side of the song to light, because the song itself can feel pretty surface level until I mean, when you see the visual, it kind of puts a different approach in your head of for what was trying to be accomplished. So with the concept, with that one and with other ones that are coming soon, they kind of just it's like being a sculptor, and a brand new song is like a perfectly round rock. And when it comes to the video, I mean, the song process is the same, but I approach them very similarly. It's like they're these round rocks, and I just start chipping away at the rock. And at first, it's like kind of aimless, like I'm not really sure what I'm doing. But as I find things I like, as I'm like kind of figuring out, and maybe it'll be like a storyboard of like a couple sketches of a couple specific shots I have in mind, or a specific scene, or like a little set I want to build, or something like that. I'll start with like one thing and then just expound off of that. And then it's super easy if you use the song as like I don't know, meat of what you're trying to cooking the pot, because you just pull from different parts of the song, different elements of the song. Well, how does it make you feel here? Oh, well, and then I don't know, what was I thinking when I wrote this part? Okay, well, how can I metaphorically visualize that or whatever? I don't know. Like they're all different.
Do you feel like having a music video is kind of an essential part of your presentation as an artist, or at least with a song like this and many of your songs, which sort of, again, having that visual element adds to the experience for the listener, or in this case, the viewer?
Man, this is only my third music video. I really want to have more out. I'm working on a lot more at the moment. Looking to double that before the end of the year, hopefully. So I got I'm just trying to get better at it, and I do think it adds a lot to the experience. I think that it's a whole nother side of the song, like I said earlier, that you can really just pick apart and get more of an understanding of the artist through the visual. And I hope people want to do that with this song. And that's my hope with any song that I do, especially ones that I do videos for, because it is like you get to pick little Easter eggs that you want to leave of yourself for people to find later, or who knows,
Yeah.
people who are observant and are
Yeah.
into poetic stuff like I am, and
Mhm.
symbolism.
Yeah. Well, that music video is out today, along with all these other songs you can stream of yours. That song's already out on Miles Maestro, Spotify, wherever you listen, Apple. So, talk a little bit more about where people can go as far as social media or the streaming platforms so that they can stay tuned with all of your music and everything coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, you can find all of my social media pages at Miles Maestro. Aside from just the basic stuff, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you can find me on SoundCloud. I do weekly drops on there. If you're not a all platforms user, I also do the best of those on YouTube. Other than that, you can find me on TikTok under the same name, Miles Maestro. Lots more stuff coming. You can also just Google Miles Maestro and just remember it's Miles with a Y, and all my stuff pops right up. It's beautiful. So go check it out. Website will be up soon. So it will be one directory to find all things Miles Maestro in one place. milesmaestro.com. So coming soon.
Love that. And speaking of everything in one place, I want to talk about our brand new American Idol Unaired playlist on Spotify. One place where you guys can check out all the music from all of our guests here on American Idol Unaired. Currently on Spotify, working on other platforms. But if you hit the link in our bio on Idol Unaired podcast on Instagram that says playlist, it will take you to that Spotify playlist. We have got at the very top the latest episode of the podcast, and then songs from all of our guests. Miles, we're going to add some stuff for viewers. And I'm really excited about just kind of keeping people in the loop from what all of our guests are up to. So check that out, guys. As I said, Idol Unaired Podcast on Instagram or TikTok. Make sure you follow us there. And as I said earlier, if you have not already subscribed on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or if you're watching on YouTube, wherever you may be listening or watching, make sure you hit subscribe, rate, leave a review, wherever you are. Thank you so much. And Miles, thank you, my friend, for being a part of American Idol Unaired.
Thank you, Bennett. Thank you.